Hope is with us in Midland, Texas. Hi, Hope. How are you?
Hi, and how are you guys doing today?
Better than we deserve. What's up?
Well, first off, I just want to say what a pleasure it was to see both of you at Summit this year in Dallas. That was very enjoyable. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. It was a great event. We had a lot of fun.
It was great. My question today, actually, just a background. My husband and I together started our own business 13 years ago. And it's just over the last 4 or 5 years, it's gone downhill. He and I have a lot of issues with communicating, almost to the extent of not communicating at all. But it is affecting our business a great deal because he and I are not on the same page as far as strategy, how to go about the operation of the business and get it going. So I guess my question is what kind of advice you would have relationship as well as just keeping our business afloat and moving it forward when we're not on the same page at all.
How's your marriage?
Suffering because of it.
Is it the chicken or the egg? Are they self-reinforcing one another? My guess is things were tough at home, and they become tough in the office, and they become tougher at home, and the thing just spins faster and faster.
Yeah.
Have you guys stepped away from everything and gone over to Dallas for a weekend just to say, hey, what in the world's going on? Or has this thing just started spinning so fast, and all of a sudden you look up, and it's a year or two later, and you're not talking anymore?
It just kind of spun, and like you said, 2 or 3 years later, now things are just so totally out of control. And
if we were talking to him, would he say there's a problem too?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, this is one of those moments that can be a really important, it's going to be an important moment either way, but it can be something not to be feared. It can be a beautiful moment, one of those redefining, rebuilding, excavation, start over, rebuilding moments, but it's got to have to happen. Somebody's got to turn the lights on, turn the music off, take an inventory of the party you've been having and saying, hey, where are we? What's going on? And I love it when couples can look each other in the eye and say, hey, we need to do this and have this moment, we need to take a postmortem on what's happened and decide where we're going to go. But somebody's got to just say stop for a second.
Yeah, you guys need a good marriage counselor in your corner
ASAP.
to start with, and just the business will not heal until your marriage does.
Right. We have done marriage counseling literally about a year and a half ago. And
apparently you didn't do it well.
Right.
Apparently not.
No. Why didn't it go well?
Not.
Why didn't it go well?
He kind of just checks out. We've even done business coaching and, saying 2 different counselors. A business coach literally fired us a year and a half ago or 2 years ago because he wouldn't participate. We were in coaching for 15 months and he just wouldn't do his part of it. He wouldn't schedule for our weekly sessions, things like that. He just wouldn't. He just checks out and doesn't even give a reason, just checks out and doesn't do it. And it was kind of the same way in our marriage counseling. I mean, he attended because we went together, but he would just kind of clam up and nothing really was being said from his point. And he did tell me he didn't like the counselor, the marriage counselor, that he didn't like him, he didn't trust him or something. And it just didn't go anywhere. And literally since that time, we've just kind of quit talking, literally.
So your relationship, if you stop and step out of it for a minute, it's on life support.
Yes.
And I would say you're in an emergency status. And it sounds like you've got a guy that is unable to say, hey, I'm done with this thing, and I don't want to blame him, doesn't have the tools, or is a coward, or whatever you want to say, but he's unable to say I'm through with this thing, and he's going to slowly suffocate it. And somebody's got to turn all the lights on in that house and send the kids away for a weekend and say, we got to take an inventory. Because what he's communicating to you is he is finished and he doesn't have the courage to say he's done, or he's scared of you, or he doesn't want to be in this business anymore and he doesn't know how to say it out loud. Somehow he is slowly pulling this thing underwater. Counseling, we call it the one down position, but he's drowning the house slowly but surely. And usually your role in this is to try to keep yanking as hard as you can the other direction, and it just creates this tension that ends up sinking the boat anyway. So you've got to just stop the music and say, are you done with this marriage?
I'm not going to continue to participate in crazy the way it exists.
No.
I'm going to say, we're going to do something different. Now, do you want to work on this and heal it? If you do, that involves you finding a counselor that you trust, that we can sit down with, and that you're willing to open up in front of, and thus to get this stuff fixed. Otherwise, it's just going to continue to deteriorate. This is not working. Continuing to do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
It's insanity.
And if you're seeking outside direction and you're not taking the direction from outside, that's him. There has to be a reason.
Yeah.
I can buy. I've sat down with people that I didn't trust, and I'm not going to open up in front of them.
Absolutely.
I'm not doing that. I can buy that as a reason, but the answer is not nothing then. Right. The answer is go find a different counselor.
Right.
Go find one you can.
And he's communicating to you. If he won't find another counselor, that's a communication to you that I'm done. I'm through with this.
Or he just doesn't have the tools to work this through, whatever it is. But yeah, you got to have somebody in your corner at least guiding you through these tough discussions that you have got to have immediately. The business has not got a chance until the marriage does. All right, John, you are a PhD in counseling, and you've done a lot of trauma work, and you've done a lot of work with couples over the years as well. If you were just going to, you may know some research off the top of your head to answer this, but you may also have just an anecdotal feel for it. When a spouse, for no obvious reason that's on the surface that's in front of us, turns away repeated counseling and stonewalls in counseling, what percentage of the time is there a third party involved in an affair?
I don't have any data, but that's my first. That's my number one question I always ask somebody. Are you seeing somebody else? Are you done? Right? Have you
if they're saying I don't want to work on this, or they sabotage all the counseling by not showing up, or by showing up physically but not emotionally, not relationally, and so on. They're not engaged in the repair.
Right. That will be one of the first questions I ask, if not the first, is are you seeing somebody else? Are you through with this interaction here? Are you done with this person? It's like going to the doctor, and the doctor says, let me do a checkup on you, and you just say, no, I'm good. And they say, well, here's some medicine. I'm good. Like, at some point, you are deciding to not be a part of the solution here, and I want to know why. But
yeah, I'm trying to think of other whys.
The only other why that comes to mind is somebody they grew up in a family that's so maligned counseling. That's for losers or idiots or psychopaths or crazies, and you don't need to go to counseling. That's for
head shrinkers.
Yeah, it's for losers. Maybe the sense of failure is so great, or man, if I can't say the right thing to make my wife okay, I feel like that makes me feel like a loser, right? I get that. And so it could be something, the shame is so heavy, but I want to rattle that cage, and I'm going to ask, are you cheating on me? Are you seeing somebody else, right? Mm-hmm. I just can't think of a reason other than those two reasons why somebody would.
It comes up, again, I'm not in that world, but I end up in that world too often because the money piece.
You are in that world.
The money piece ends up on the marriage plate. The marriage piece ends up on the money plate. And so I end up, and this guy's completely disconnected. This gal's completely disconnected. I can't get them to engage in anything on the money stuff. And I'm like, they're not staying.
Right.
For some reason or another, they're not staying.
And sometimes when the person calls and asks that question, Dave, we all have friends like this. My wife's crazy. My wife's crazy. My wife's crazy. And you talk to your wife and you go, no, brother, you are, right? And so it could be that this is round 10 of some thing that she wants to fix. And he's like, I'm not doing another one of your schemes because you won't participate. So we always get one side on the show.
That's true. So I'm not saying that happened with her or him necessarily.
In that last
case,
call, yeah.
But it just made me wonder during the commercial break, from your perspective, because you've got a lot more professional insight than I do on it. Mine's just an old guy hanging around with a whole bunch of hurting people for a lot of years, and it just gives me a sense of these things. But
what do you think?
I would say north of 50%.
Yeah.
That's I'm just a wet finger in the air, though. I have nothing to base it on. Just because I can't there. And it might be that they gave up on the situation and then went and got the affair, rather than the affair caused them to give up on the situation. I don't know which one that is, but they're gone.
Right.
They just hadn't left yet.
That's right.
That's the thing.
Some people don't have the tools. I don't know how to end a marriage. I don't know how to break up. I don't want to be the one that's the bad guy. So I'm just going to slowly.
Breaking up is hard to do.
I'm going to, there you go. I'm just going to drown this thing, right? Slowly but surely suffocate it.
Yeah.
And then, by the way, on the way down, I'm going to make you feel crazy.
Gaslight them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So who knows? But I just don't understand.
We're not saying that's the last caller.
No,
we're not
saying
that. It just made me question and made me wonder. I wanted to ask you in front of everybody else.